In this video, I'm going to tell about Point City. This is a game that I bought recently in my friendly local game store. I was going on a trip, on a vacation with my family. I wanted games that were simple, light, portable. This seems to fit the bill, so I could play with my family. I was looking for games that are also easy to set up because I broke my hand last month. Now it's in a brace, but it used to be in a cast. This one didn't work so well that way because there's auto shuffling that you do to set up the game. But my 11-year-old kid is really passionate about the game and also wanted to help me set it up. And we played the game a lot. Still, also, my 11-year-old is not particularly good at shuffling cards. So setup was a bit complicated for us, but totally worth it because we enjoyed the game. Also, I'm not going to set up the game fully precisely because of that, because it would be very easy if I have full use of both hands. You have 3 decks of cards for 3 eras, like we say in Civilization games. 1, 2, and 3 is indicated by the number of the dots. Depending on the number of players, you're gonna have a number of cards from each deck being shuffled independently and then forming a deck of cards, a draw deck from era 1, 2, and 3. But you know what? If you do so, the initial tableau, the initial area of the game will only have cards from era 1. So that kind of works. It's still kind of realistic. They show you how the game is set up. You will shuffle these cards. Difficult. And then you draw until you have, and then you draw and you form a draw area of 4x4, so 16 cards. These cards are double-sided. On one side they represent a resource, and on the other side they represent a building. And so, but when we set up the game, they all are face down, or I should say resource side up. And so that's how we set up the game. Again, probably will look with more variety if I actually shuffle them well. And just imagine that there is another line down here, because notionally there is, boom, another line of 4. During your turn, you will acquire 2 cards. That is it. You must acquire 2 cards. If you cannot, or you do not want to take them from the central area, you draw 2 cards from from the draw deck. When you draw them from there, you place them in a personal area, resource side up. So I just acquired an ecology and an energy. Good for me. Also, when it is your turn, if there is a row or a column where they are all energy side up or resource side up, you can flip one face up for free as a free action. So I did that, then I take my turn, the next player says, oh look, there is this row here also that is side up. When it is your turn, remember you must acquire 2 cards. You can take them from there, you can take them from here. But they have to be orthogonally adjacent, so I could choose to take those 2 resources, so those 2 or those 2 if I so wish. The point, however, is to build these buildings that will give me extra resources, permanent resources, or permanent discounts, spender style, and I need to spend those resources. Right now, for example, I don't have them. I don't have a community in an economy. Suppose this turn I take these 2, which happen to be adjacent, so I'm allowed. Booyah. And then when I replenish from here, they replenish from the opposite side. So then they wear. So if I took resources, the cards replenish them with the building side up. Next turn, suppose it's my turn again, then I decide to I can take these 2 or these 2 or these 2, remember the notional down here, and say I decide to take these 2. Incidentally, the order may be significant. Suppose I don't have an economy, but I do have a community. So I take this card first, and then I can pay these 2 and discard them to acquire this card that goes in my personal tableau here. And now each time I'm acquiring a card, I can use that discount. So as the game continues, you will have your tableau of different resources. And again, if you play Splendor, this will look pretty familiar. Some cards are ingenuity cards, and that means they're wild resources when you're paying for that. Some cards will give you discounts only. Some cards will give you discounts and victory points. Some cards that you acquire have that symbol. That means that you'll be able to take one of these tokens. Only a number of them is drawn and made available to the players at the beginning of the game, and they give you different ways of scoring points at the end of the game. If you have this token that you acquired, again, through that symbol, then each of your community cards is worth 2 victory points at the end of the game. I got none. Oh, this is more interesting. Each set of economy and ecology is worth 3 victory points. So I now have 3 victory points with that token. And again, not all these are used. So in different games, you will score different things, although the general idea is still pretty simple. This one's 6 points for each full set of resources. That's pretty neat. That's the idea. That is the idea. You will acquire 2 cards every turn. The way the tableau here, not the tableau, the draw, the market is replenished is very neat because it changes all the time. And so there are interesting layers of decision there based on, well, what I want to acquire and what I can acquire. Should I build my engine right away? Yes. Or get some good victory cards, victory point cards early on. No, probably not. But it's an interesting decision to make. Also, there is the element of what am I leaving behind, because my fellow players' tableaus are in evidence, and so I can say, oh, they can go for this one, they can go for that one. Again, if you play Splendor, to any degree of competence, then you know that that's also another similar things. So the Point City, when you look at the design of the box and the style and the name, of course, reminds me first thing of Point Salad by the same publisher, AEG. But in essence, the soul of the game to me is much closer to Splendor, with more of a tactical element, with more of a spatial element, because in Splendor you only get one thing and you don't have to worry about where things are, because it's entirely possible in this game, say that I have the resources to buy that card, but remember, I must take 2 cards or I cannot take them. If I cannot take 2 cards from the tableau, from the drawing area, I need to take them from here. So maybe I have 2 industry to buy that one, but I don't have enough to buy any of the other ones here, and so I cannot take it. So that spatial element is not irrelevant. Actually, it's very important, and it can have some direct or indirect impact on how you make your selections, because maybe I know that you can take a really good card. I'm trying to box it in, so maybe you can't. But then you can pull it off, and then you're getting 2 cards now. So that's something to be considered. Definitely the spatial element to me added a lot. At the same time, it didn't make the game too puzzly. I was worried, frankly, before I played it, as I read the rulebook, about downtime, because I thought, well, when a game changes so much, before players, the board will look very different when the game comes back to you. So you're thinking, oh man, each player will take their sweet time deciding their moves. But that's not necessarily the case, because each time you have only a couple of moves, 2 or 3 that are possible based on what you own, and maybe fewer of those are desirable. And so in truth, the decision making was a lot faster and more smooth than I thought, without becoming trivial, and that was remarkable to me. So it's a game that it is a filler. Clearly, if you have use of your hands, it sets up very quickly. But it plays very smoothly and very nicely. It seemed to me almost like a Splendor Express or Splendor Light, but not just, impoverished by being light, rather being changed in nature by giving it a little bit of a spatial element, which does create a new and fresh approach to things. So definitely enjoy Point City, much more similar to Splendor than to Point Salad, and I love Splendor, but I don't think this is redundant. If nothing else, again, my 11-year-old is in love with this game. They like this game a lot more than they like Splendor, and they play both, and they've been asking to play this one pretty much daily since they first tried it about 10 days ago, maybe. So big hit in my family. Point City feels like a variant of Splendor, but not a trivial one, not a derivative one, and personally one that I enjoy to play with my family very much.